tomfoolery on a level that I don't think you can find in many other jobs. The shenanigans. It's the most diverse, one of the most diverse atmospheres you'll ever work in. Side note, I've passed more horses today than I think I ever have in my life. I just passed like this big field, looked like wild horses in the field, which I'm sure they don't exist, but it's a fucking odd morning out here. Yeah, so this is the kind of podcast that I would like to continue on. It's hard to do alone because you can't really banter with yourself. So I'd like to bring on one of the guys that I work with, Adam. He's like a rising star in this business, really. He's a hop, skip, and a jump away from being a chef, and he's one of the cooks who wants that. He wants that position, and rightly so, man. Like, you know, if you're working at a kitchen and you're not aspiring to be number one, then, you know, you're kind of spinning your wheels and your value will slowly decrease over time. But, yeah, I'd like him to join me on the podcast so we can shoot the shit together because we have a lot of laughs, man. He's a funny dude. You know, and the kind of humor that happens in the kitchen is just, it's kind of perfect for, like, the stage or for people who are seeking out absurd humor because it is absurd. And it's grotesque, and it's over the top, and it pushes the envelope. And, like, put it this way, if you don't have thick skin and you want a job in a kitchen, good fucking luck. Like, you're gonna go home on your first day, you know, and want to fucking curl up in bed and cry yourself to sleep because it's pretty ruthless, man. The place we work at is the least ruthless of all the places I've ever worked because it's a state job and it's a college. It's very different than a private kitchen, but it still exists. Like, it's just the work in general. It requires like having fun in an extreme way in order to get through your day. With food, for some reason, the stress level is usually pretty high. The sense of urgency is, you know, there. It feels almost like a fucking ER room at times. I mean, obviously the stakes are much lower, but for some reason that's the culture in the kitchen. Like, if you don't get those fucking broccoli out, it's the end of the world. Like, but it really is just you live and die by every day. You live and die by every dish. You live and die by every menu item you're cooking. And when you fuck something up, like, that's as good as you are. You're as good as the last thing that you've cooked and the last task that you've been given, or the last recipe you came up with, or the last recipe you've been given to prepare. You're as good as that. Like, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter if you're an ex-con or you went to Harvard. If you can't cook that fucking broccoli right now and do it well, then we have no use for you. I mean, that's kind of the thing, how it is in the kitchen. So yeah, I just want to talk about it. Obviously, I can't tell you where I work because I'm sure I'm going to get into some shit that I shouldn't get into. But, yeah, I've worked at many kitchens, from very nice, expensive kitchens where you gotta pay a couple $100 in order to eat there, or to the, you know, average slop house on the fucking top of a hill in a small town. Colleges to very private dining experiences. I've done some catering. I've done it all. So, and it's very universal. This sick kind of humor and this fucking dark soul that happens as a result of working in a kitchen is very universal. And I'm at my wit's end with it, so I'm perfect. This is a perfect time to podcast about it because I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to be a chef. I'm not trying to advance. I'm trying to get the fuck out of the kitchen, actively trying. So, yeah, now's the time. I'm going to stop before I start getting angry. because talking about it too much will make me angry. And it would be nice to have Adam here because he's not an angry dude. He does enjoy his job, and he could be the balance. And it would be funnier. Clearly, it would be funny in general if Adam's here. He's a funny guy. And if I continue right now, I could just fucking slaughter the industry because I fucking hate it. I really hate it. It's just a joke in so many ways. Especially when you get to this age, the age that I'm at, you don't want to listen to any management at all, man. At all. Like, management is just a roadblock. It's just like chatter in your ears. It becomes a thing where, like, you become this bitter dude whose value is not, who has just a rapidly decreasing value in the kitchen because you think you know more than everybody, and it's, you know, it's possible you do know more than the person who's telling you what to do. It happens a lot. But for whatever reason, you didn't get that job because you didn't try for it, number one. Number two, maybe you're not reliable. Like, who knows? A myriad of reasons, you know? So I don't really have a reason to be bitter. I don't have bitterness towards my superiors. I don't feel like I deserve their job in any way at this point because I have become, not very reliable as far as showing up goes. I fucking hate it. Ever since Rachel got sick, I've got one foot out the door. But right before she got sick, that was the pinnacle for me. I worked for a few years with a chef on Cape Cod who did take food very seriously and did have a lot of knowledge when it comes to food. He's probably the best I've worked with, food-wise, leadership-wise. He's the most fun. I consider him a friend. And that was the pinnacle when he opened a restaurant and asked me and Rachel to come out and asked Rachel to head up the bar program and asked me to kind of be his, I don't know, he doesn't really use titles much, but I was basically his sous chef. I would have loved to stay out there, but Rachel, it didn't work for Rachel. At the end of the summer, she just couldn't do it anymore. She was miserable, and I've never seen her quit a job in her life, like just walk away from a job. That's how much she did not like it out there. And I think it had less to do with the restaurant than it did to do with our living situation and everything just piling up. Not to mention she had cancer, and we didn't know at that point. So she was also dealing with pain. And then we moved back to Western Massachusetts, and and then she got sick. So I didn't work in a kitchen that whole year and a half. Didn't work, so and I just realized how much time I've wasted in this business. I realized how short life is, in that if you hate what you're doing, you really should step off and do something else. And I do hate what I'm doing. I love the people I work with, but I hate the job. There is no meaning in it for me. And I've gotten a taste of what having purpose in your day feels like, and it's hard to go back. Anyways, I'm gonna stop there. All right. Hopefully next time I cast on this in this forum here, Adam will be with me and we can fucking really get into it. All right. Enjoy your day, folks. It's 7 a.m.